Hey, it's Merrill. I think I got an interesting video for you today. Let's see, what will you learn if you stick around and watch this video? 1. What does Merrill do when he royally screws up a painting? It does happen. You guys usually see my best, the stuff that I post on my YouTube channel, but believe me, I do my share of mess-ups. But I'm a stubborn person, and I believe that there's always a way to fix things. So, you're going to learn the strengths and weaknesses of the materials that I use, and I primarily depend on oil paint and color pencil, and to a lesser extent, oil pastel and acrylic paint. And most importantly, you're going to learn which combinations of these materials work well together to edit your mistakes, or if one of your works is going really well, to add another layer of depth to your work. So now let's watch me screw this thing up before I fix it. If there's any good that came out of me screwing this up, at least it's a picture of Derek Jeter. Okay, I like him as a baseball player, but let's put it this way. I'm a Mets fan, and this dude has been torturing me and my team for as long as I can remember. So I'm doing this as a present to my father-in-law, who's a huge Yankees fan. Yeah, if I'm going to screw up a picture, it's going to be Derek Jeter. So now let me totally admit I'm one of those people who never asks for directions when they're driving. In fact, the navigation systems that have come out have probably, saved me years, given me years back in my life, since I would have been lost during that time. But anyway, during art, I suppose I have a little bit more of a fighting chance. This is my bag of tricks. These are the materials that I could use. I only say could because it gets messy if you use all of them, and you really got to pick and choose. Anyway, for the Derek Jeter piece, you're going to see me use color pencil and oil paint. Basically, this is what I use, on all of my YouTube videos, and I pick and choose what I need at different times. I'm not going to really waste the time now and read over all of them, but I'm going to put a link in the video description, and if you wish, you can read my notes on these. I also have a second chart for you, and this one is related to the first. It basically tells you which materials work well together. So for instance, you learn oil paint can work over acrylic paint, but acrylic paint does not work over oil paint. I've got a bunch of different combinations, and basically, just like the first chart, hit the link in the video description and you can see my notes. But it's taken me years to figure out these things, and I want to pass as much knowledge to you as I can. But I'm going to elaborate on both charts as the video goes on. I'm not trying to just gloss over this like it's unimportant, but I want to show you how I fix the Derek Jeter. Alright, so now you get to watch me try to fix this thing. And as you can see, I tried to take off some of the excess paint with an eraser, and actually that worked pretty well. I learned that technique doing something called the dry brush technique, which if you've been watching my recent videos, I've been enjoying doing. In fact, that's what got me in this trouble in the first place. I tried to do a color version of the dry brush technique. I guess I got a little bit confident because I had a lot of success with black and white, a lot of early success. But color was another story, and I can't wait to try it again. But let's put it this way: I really screwed it up. I think it was the white. I used titanium white very, very early, and with dry brush, you don't do that. Anyway, back to this. You're probably noticing that I had colored pencils at the side, and right now I am putting a layer of colored pencil on. Color pencil is great because you work with tremendous accuracy. If you went to my, if you hit the link in the video description and you went to my site, you probably saw that as a note. It also primes the canvas or primes the paper. I'm using paper in this case for oil paint. And it mixes with the oil paint. So, for instance, if you put a red color pencil down and you put green oil paint on top of that, you're going to have a neutral or you're going to have a brown because the oil and the color pencil will blend. Green and red are opposites on the color wheel. Anytime that you mix two opposites on the color wheel, you get brown. So still working with the color pencil. One of the flaws to color pencil is you really can't layer it. You can add Liquin to it. You can add Liquin also to pastels, but really, it's kind of like a weak layer. It's not nearly as strong of a bond as oil paint. And if you're going to layer something, you want to layer the strong stuff at least first, so that your work will remain permanent in the future. Starting to look a little bit like Derek right now. And more color pencil. Trying to get those details. Those are key. Those are very crucial. And you're going to see I'm going to lose different areas when I add the oil paint on. And I'm going to actually later on go over it with color pencil again. There was a really tricky shadow underneath the hat, and you kind of need glazed oil paint to perfectly get that. And of course, glazing is your very thinned out oil paint, a higher percentage of medium than usual in combination with paint. And I probably add 2 or 3 different layers of paint to this. The nose gets tricky as well. There's a shadow that was very different than the shadow underneath the hat, and it takes some really delicate blending. And when you blend with paint, you want to use multiple brushes, and you're going to see me use quite a few. I think I use 6 or 7 in this. And I prefer round tip brushes. I think that you get a wider range of possibilities with them. If you press a little bit harder, it leaves a thicker line. If you press soft, it's at that nice fine tip. So you could get that area, the fold of the eyelids, without a problem. But even the best brushes, you will not have the accuracy of color pencil. I really struggled to get that area around the New York Yankees logo. But like I said before, if I'm going to screw something up, Yankees logo. No, I don't hate the Yankees. But I definitely prefer the Mets. Hey, I'm from Queens. Now it is becoming Mr. Derek Jeter, soon to be a member of the 3,000 hit club. Always seems like he's getting those hits against my Mets. Not that I'm bitter. One thing you have to be really careful of when you're finishing a painting is that everything blends together. You don't want one area to seem like he's sunburned and another area to seem like he's a ghost. And really, that's what's happening now. And that's where the thin layers really come in. Putting a thin layer on top of thin layer on top of thin layer. It gradually changes it. And you have to have patience when you work with oil paint. And really, I don't. To be totally honest, I do not. And sometimes it kills me while it's drying. I have to lock it away. I literally have to lock a room to keep me away from it, because I just like tinkering with it so much. Interesting side note, my last name, Kazanjian, means tinker in Armenian. Of course, they mean metal worker. But the American word, the English word, is tinker, which means, change. You have the need to change. And that definitely describes me and, my process, I guess. Okay, so I've been getting off on a tangent. If you notice, I put a thin layer of white paint over it, and then I let it dry, and locked it in a room, of course. And the reason that I did that was to really, kind of neutralize everything. And I'm going over it again with the color pencil now. So, if you choose to do something like this, let's say that you do a painting, be very, very careful that you don't press too hard with the color pencils. After you do a few layers of paint, if you start pressing hard, it's going to start pulling up the paint. But you can go really soft on it. Or if you like texture, you might actually like doing that. You might actually like pressing hard. For instance, in the area where he's got the facial hair, yeah, I pressed a little bit harder in there, and it made it a little bit more rough. It made the surface of the paper more rough. Now it's time for me to put the finishing touches on. So let me tell you, it took me about 3 hours to do this piece, and over 4 sessions. The 4 sessions is important because I needed to let it dry so that I could add another layer on top. Paint gets saturated, and if you want to create another layer, you have to let the layer below fully dry. And to finish this, I'm just doing thin layers of paint. I'm making sure that the colors are tied together, and I'm using soft brushes. And that's about it. I hope you guys leave me questions or leave me comments. A few things. You can check out my new channel called Art Morphs by clicking the second link, and the 2 bottom links are for my playlists, and one is the instruction playlist and the other one is for my artwork. I hope you check those out, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.